Hi, Assalamualaikum. Alright, in this video, we will learn about the trigonometric graph, but we are going to do this by transformation. Alright, let's look at this. When it involves the transformations, let's just recall the what we call what's called that one is shifting. Alright, if it is something like this, fx plus k, then we move to the left by k units, right? If it is fx minus k, and then we move the graph to the right by k units. If it is like, for example, plus k, means that we are going to move it upwards, right? So this one is going to the right, this one is going to the left, this one is going to the right, shifting upwards by k units. This one, if it is, suppose k is a positive number, right? All right, so this one will be shifted downwards. And then we should know that if it is actually we have fx, therefore if we write negative of fx, therefore this is actually a reflection about the x-axis. All right, suppose this is fx, this is our negative of fx. All right, so will be reflected about the x-axis. All right, so let's look at this. Suppose we start with sine of x. All right, so we should recall that the graph for 1 and sine of x means that we have this. All right, suppose this is 1 and this is negative 1. All right, so the amplitude is 1, right? We know that the amplitude is 1, so it goes this way. All right, and we have one complete cycle in 2 pi, so this is one complete cycle for the sine of x. And then if we have sine of x minus pi over 2, meaning to say that we are going to shift this graph to the left by to the right by pi over 2, because we know that because it is subtraction here. All right, so we should know that this graph will be shifted to the right by pi over 2 units. So it should start here, right? So it will go this way. So this is 1 and this is actually negative 1. All right, so it will go this way, and all right, I'm sorry, okay, so be this way. So this is actually 2 pi plus with the pi over 2. That one should be 5 pi over 2, right? 5 pi over 2. All right, so this is our graph now. All right, if if the question asks you to sketch from 0 until 2 pi, means you have to sketch from this, all right, until this one. So this part is considered from 0 until 2 pi, depending on your question. All right, so let's now do the what do we call shifting upwards by 2 units. All right, so means that if you have like 1 here, all right, suppose I have let's say okay, suppose this is 1 and this is 2. All right, and then suppose I have, like, for example, right, this graph will be shifted upwards by 2 units. Right, so means that we are going to have our graph on these 2. All right, something like this. All right, instead of at this x-axis. So this is our axis now. So our graph will be, all right, so it goes to 3. All right, will be something like this. All right, something like that. Will be shifted. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, because it will be shifted by 2 units. All right, upwards. All right, so instead of this, right, it will go to this. All right, this one I'm using this scale. All right, so but this one I'm using 1 1. All right, let's look at this. What does it mean by sine of 2x? All right, it means that for one complete cycle of sine will be, all right, so let's just recall that for one complete cycle we will have this shape. But if we have 2x, means that within from 0 until 2 pi we will have 2 cycle, because of this coefficient here. We will have 2 cycle, means that for sine of 2x within from 0 until 2 pi, so we'll have 2 cycles, something like this. So we're going to sketch this shape inside this from 0 until 2 pi. So it will be something like this. All right, suppose this is 1 and this is a negative 1. I guess it will be something like this. Yes, this is one complete cycle within pi. Therefore, we're going to sketch this two complete cycle within 2 pi, right? So that's is our sine of 2x. What if you have, like, for example, this sine of 4x, meaning to say that we're going to have a 4 complete cycle within, what do we call? Within 2 pi, all right? So suppose this is 1 and -1, all right? So I'll have something like this. This is 1 complete cycle, 2 complete cycle, and then I'll have this, the 3rd cycle, and the 4th cycle will be something like this. All right, so I have 4 complete cycle for this sine of 4x here, within from 0 until 2 pi. All right, next, let's look at this cos. All right, so we should recall that the graph of cos will be something like this, from 1 until -1. All right, so my cos will be something like this. All right, okay, that is my cos sine of x. All right. Then if I'm going to sketch the negative of cos of x, meaning to say that I'm going to reflect this about the x-axis, all right? I'm going to do mirror it, all right? So I'll have something like this, all right? So that one will be shifted to this one, all right? So this is -1 and this is 1, all right? So it will be something like this, all right? It's something like this. So now it is actually mirrored about the x-axis, right? What about the cos of 2x? Again, for the one complete cycle of cos will be something like this. So if I'm going to have cos of 2x, means that I will have within from 0 until 2 pi. So I'll have 2 complete cycle. Alright, so suppose I have 1 and -1 here. So I'll have something like this. So this is 1 complete cycle of course, and then I'm going to have the 2nd cycle in this, what do we call, within from 0 until 2 pi. So I have 2 complete cycle of cosine of x, right? Or about cos of x over 2 means that you'll have half cycle, all right? You'll have half cycle, all right? So if this is, for example, this is 1 cycle of x, so you're going to have half of it only, all right? So from this to this, all right, within from 0 until 2 pi. So suppose this is 1 and -1. So you're going to have your half cycle will be something like this. It'll go this way, and then it will go this way, all right? Because a complete cycle will be something like this, but you're going to sketch only half from 0 until 2 pi, all right? So it will be something like this. All right, so that is your graph for cos of x over 2. And then if you have cos of x minus 1, all right, so suppose this is 1 and this is -1 and this is actually -2, means that you are going to shift the graph of cos downwards by 1 units, all right? So instead of sketching this one, you are going to bring it downwards by 1 unit. So means that you will start your graph of cos at 0 here, all right? So cos of x, which is -1, means that you'll have your axis here actually, right? So it will be something like this, all right? So it will be something like this, okay, and then it goes to this, all right? So instead of having this one, it will now shift it downwards by 1 unit. So we'll have cos of x minus 1, right? Now what about you have cos of 2x, all right? So we note that all right, so you have -2 cos of 2x, so maybe you can start with 2 cos of 2x, all right? So I'll just sketch the graph for cos of 2x, means that your from 0 until 2 pi you'll have 2 complete cycle, means that it will have something like this, all right? Something like this. This is 1 complete cycle, and this is the 2nd complete cycle, all right? 2 complete cycles, something like this. But since you want to have it as a negative, so you have to mirror it about the x-axis. So it will be something like this. It will be reflected about the x-axis, all right? Something like this. So I do not have this what do we call, I do not have this graph actually, all right? So this is your, what do we call, -2 cos of 2x. All right, so that 2x means that you have 2 cycles. This is 1 and 2 cycles, but your negative, all right, so negative 2 means this amplitude 2 and negative 2, and negative means that you have to reflect it about the x-axis. All right, now let's look at this example. Right, suppose you have this kind of graph, right? So we're going to use the what do we call, transformation to sketch this graph. All right, maybe you can start with y equal to cos of x. So how does your graph for y equal to cos of x looks like? It looks like this, right? So this is actually suppose I have pi and I have 2 pi here. All right, so I'll start with 1 and negative 1. Therefore my graph will be something like this. This is my graph of y equal to cos of x. And then I'm going to shift this graph to the left by pi over 2 units. Means that, all right, so the second one I'm going to sketch, right? So this is the first one, and the second one I'm going to sketch the cos of actually x plus of pi over 2. Means that I'm going to shift this cos of x to the left because it is positive here, right? So to the left by pi over 2 units means that I'll have something like this. All right, let me just sketch it. All right, okay, so this is pi and this is 2 pi. All right, so this is of course pi over 2. If it is moved to the left by pi over 2 units, so you have something like this. So suppose I have 1 here, all right, so that it is much bigger. All right, so now this graph is shifted to the left by pi over 2 units, so means that it should start at pi over 2 here, right? It goes this way. Yes, something like this. All right, because it is shifted to the left by pi over 2 units, so it should start here, right? Go this way, it goes to this, it goes to this. All right, so that is your cos of x plus pi over 2. The next one is that we are going to make its amplitude, which is 2, right? So I will have, right, suppose I have the third graph, which is, let's say I'll just sketch for cos of, what do we call, x plus of pi over 2. Maybe I've made you confused with this one, right? Never mind, I'll just start with actually 1 here. All right, for this one I'll start with 1 and negative 1 there, right? Then I'll have my graph would be something like this, right? I think it's much clearer now. All right, since it is shifted to the left by pi over 2 units. Next, I'm gonna make its amplitude, which is 2. All right, so I will have my graph will be something like this. All right, so this is y and this is actually an x. All right, so this one is negative pi over 2, right? So negative pi over 2, I'll have pi over 2, I'll have pi, and then I'll have 3 pi over 2. All right, so instead of having the amplitude which is 1, now my amplitude which is actually 2, so it is something like this. The same shape as this one, but its amplitude is actually 2, right? So it will be something like this, right? Okay, but now you have the, what do you call, the negative here, so you just need to mirror this graph, all right, so that you will have the fourth one, which is y equal to, right, negative 2 cos of, what do we call, x plus pi over 2. Therefore I'm gonna have this as, all right, okay, so something like this. All right, so this is x, right? I'm gonna have this one as negative pi over 2, this one is 2, this one is negative 2, this one is pi over 2, this one is pi, and 3 pi over 2. Right now, instead of having this one, I'm gonna mirror it about the x-axis. I'll have something like this, right? So my graph would look like this for this one. All right. So I've already obtained this one, but read carefully. The question asks you to sketch from 0 until 2 pi, means that you just need to sketch this part. All right. So you just need to start from this, all right, until 2 pi, but you should not include the first part here. All right, so this one should not be included. Therefore, all right, this is -2. All right, so it will be something like this. I should not start there, because what do we call, okay, I'll have something like this. Okay, all right, so negative cos of x plus pi over 2 is actually similar to the sine of x. All right, okay. Initially it will be something like this, right? Yes. All right, now let's look at the second example. Suppose you have 2 plus sine of 2x for x which is between negative pi until pi. All right, so you should start with, let's say you want to have the sine of x, right? Let me just write. The first graph you're going to have is actually y equal to sine of x. So this is your basic graph. So of course your sine of x will be something like this. Something like this. Right? So this is from a pi until 2 pi. So that is your sine of x. This is y and x. Next, you're going to have this sine of 2x. Right? So how do I sketch the graph for sine of 2x? What does it mean by sine of 2x? All right, it has another meaning. All right, y. This is x. All right. Of course, this is 1 and -1. Please label it. All right, 1 and -1. All right, so your sine of 2x will be something like, all right, so this is pi, this is 2 pi. So what does it mean by this coefficient 2? Means that you will have 2 complete cycle of sine within 0 until 2 pi. So your graph will looks like this. All right, so this is 1 complete cycle. Right, this is 1 complete cycle, and then this is 2 complete cycle within 0 until 2 pi. Okay, but finally you are going to shift it upwards by 2 units, because you have to shift it upwards, right? So because we plus 2 there, right? So the third one will be sine of 2x plus 2. Right, we have to shift this graph upwards by 2 units, so we'll have something like this from y. All right, so this is x. Suppose this is pi, and this is actually 2 pi. All right, so now it is shifted upwards by 2 units, so this is 1 and this is 3. All right, so my axis will be on these 2 here. All right, will be something like this, but I'm gonna have 2 complete cycle on this axis, so it will be something like this. 1 complete cycle, and then this is the 2 complete cycle. All right, so this graph is shifted upwards by 2 units, then we obtain this one. Okay, right now let's look at the last one. All right, maybe this one. All right, so you should start with your basic graph, which is actually the first one, y equal to sine of x. So your graph for y equal to sine of x will be something like this. X, y, pi and 2 pi. All right, so sine of x will be, my sine of x will be something like y. All right, so this is my 1 and -1. Next one, I need to shift this graph to the left by pi over 2 units. So the second one, I'll have y equal to sine of x plus pi over 2. And it is positive here, means that we have to shift it to the left by pi over 2 units. So we'll have something like this. All right, this is x. All right, to the left by pi over 2 units, so that one should be negative pi over 2, this one should be 0, this one should be pi, and this one should be 3 pi over 2. All right, and then I will have what do we call this one as actually sine of that. Alright, so that graph, right, that graph will be shifted to the left by that. Alright, so this is 1 and this is -1. And finally we have the amplitude, which is +3 first. Alright, so let's start with the amplitude, which is +3. So the third graph will be 3 sine of x plus pi over 2. So now instead of 1, we have the amplitude, which is 3. Alright, so I'll have something like this. Alright, so my 3 here. Alright, so here will be a -3. Alright, so this is -pi over 2, pi over 2, pi, and 3 pi over 2. Right, so now I have a bigger amplitude, so of course it will be something like this. Alright, but since it is actually negative, so we have to reflect it about the x-axis. It will be something like this. Alright, so I'm gonna sketch the last one. Right, so let me just label this one as y-x. And finally, I'll have the fourth graph, which is y equal to -3 of sine of x plus pi over 2. Of course, this one will be something like this. Right, we just need to mirror it about the x-axis. Right. Alright, so this is -pi over 2. This one is pi over 2. This one is pi, and this one's 3 pi over 2. Right, so I'm gonna reflect this about the, what do we call, the x-axis. So I'll have something like this. Right, let me just label this as 3 and -3. Right, so I'll have this one. Okay, so I've got this graph. Right, so we are done with this one because it is not mentioned for which what do we call, domain of x. So let's just leave it like that. But the previous one, all right, so I'll suddenly remember, I suddenly recall that we need to sketch this graph from -pi until pi. So of course you have to continue sketching this one from -pi until pi only. All right, so let's just have the another run. Right, so I'll just sketch it here. All right, y. All right, so this is actually okay, x. I have -pi, I have pi, and I have 2 pi. All right, but I want to focus from, all right, so of course we have 1, 2, and 3, and its axis is actually here. All right, so you just need to focus. All right, so of course you already have this one complete cycle from this to this. You just stop there because you don't need to you don't have to sketch this part. Right, so of course you need to continue sketching this for this one. So it will be something like this. Right, so from -pi until pi only. Right, so follow this domain from this to this. You have to follow this domain. Right, be careful. Please read the question carefully. So that's basically how you sketch the graph of what we call sine of x, cos of x by using transformation. So that's it. Thank you for watching this video.